Duchess of Sussex, is a New York Times best-selling author and co-founder of the Archewell Foundation and Archewell Productions. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, is a New York Times best-selling author and co-founder of the Archewell Foundation and Archewell Productions. Her influence extends across various sectors from entertainment to philanthropy, making her a driving force for positive change.
This is a fun one for me. Couric is the best-selling author, founder of Stand-Up to Cancer, and co-founder of Couric Media. His extensive career spans journalism, cancer advocacy, documentaries, and scripted projects that focus on addressing important social issues like gender equality and gun violence.
With a career that began in childhood and continues to thrive across multiple industries, Brooke Shields is not only an iconic actor, but also an advocate.
Can you tell us about why this project interested you and what the study found?
You guys will tell me if this is a good volume then. Yes? Okay. Well, thank you. And firstly, I'm so excited to be here and to be with such incredible women, so much brilliance on this panel, and just an amazing way to celebrate International Women's Day. So thank you all for coming to listen. Yes, as you were saying, the Geena Davis Institute and Moms First released this report, and my husband and I, our foundation, the Archewell Foundation, helped to fund it. Because I think from our standpoint, and certainly from mine, there are three key reasons why it felt vital to see the information they were going to be pulling through this report. So on a personal level, I've just always loved understanding women and our stories and our lived experiences and our shared experiences. So I was really curious to see what the report was going to uncover in terms of, oftentimes as women, you may agree with this, the way that we see ourselves is reflected back to us, sometimes accurately and sometimes, much to our disservice, inaccurately in what we see in media. And so to be able to have the findings to uncover what we can do to propel that, to make sure women are really feeling seen in a way that is reflective of who and how we are and how we move through the world, felt important. From a philanthropic standpoint with our foundation, there's obviously a lot of work to be done in terms of supporting women and moms. You can begin with paid leave and, and just really looking at, one of the findings actually said that working moms are paid 62 cents to the dollar for what working dads are. And it's almost feeling punitive at a certain point when you're a mom and you're juggling so much and carrying so much and you want to be supported in the best way possible. So it's those reasons. Then, we have a production company, and as we build out our slate and have projects that we're doing, or with podcasting as well, to ensure that we are responsibly filling in the roles of moms and women to be reflected in a way that's accurate. So this report, I think, is really valuable, and just proud we could support it. I've said this for so many years, and I hope that it starts to land, but I think we can all agree that representation matters in terms of, if you're a young girl and you see yourself in a position of power or strength or leadership, you can believe that that is possible. If you look out on the screen or you look out in the world and you see no one that looks like you, it is incomprehensible for most people to imagine that they can have that level of success or joy or strength, whatever it may be. And, the key thing that I think needs to be focused on in terms of equity is that it's not a zero-sum game. Just because someone else has the same advantage that you do doesn't mean that you're losing anything. And it actually creates an environment that is so fair, but also inclusive, where people feel as though they have a seat at the table, as they should.
Meghan, will you tell the story about when you wrote that letter to P&G? Because I don't know if everyone's heard it, but it's such a great story at a very young age, what you did.
That's so fun. Yes,
I was disrupted the flow. I'm so sorry.
No, it's
but go ahead.
It's a conversation.
That's what I love about interviewing Katie. I think it's
I was 11 years old, about 11 years old, and I'd seen a commercial on TV for a dishwashing liquid, and the boys in my class at the time said, it said, "Women all over America are fighting greasy pots and pans." And the boys said, "Yeah, that's where women belong, in the kitchen." And at 11, I just found that infuriating and wrote lots of letters and put pen to paper, and they ended up changing the commercial. to people all over America. And, you know, it's funny to look back at it now because that was before social media where you had a reach that was so much greater. It was just an 11-year-old with a pen and paper. But it just, I guess, goes to show that if you know that there's something wrong and you're using your voice to advocate in the direction of what is right, that can really land and resonate and make huge change for a lot of people. So your voice is not small. It just needs to be heard.
Yeah, this is where we're this is one of the ways where we took it. When I was 11, I was playing a prostitute. So, okay, good. Okay, I wish I'd known where we're going here.
Of the Archewell Foundation, and I am thrilled to be announcing today's conversation with my friend.
Whether you're a 9-year-old girl or a 90-year-old woman, you can absolutely continue to make the change that we all need. Social media is a environment that I think has a lot of that. You know, it's really interesting as I can reflect on it. I keep my distance from it right now just for my own well-being, but the bulk of the bullying and abuse that I was experiencing in social media and online was when I was pregnant with Archie and with Lily and with a newborn with each of them. And you just think about that and to really wrap your head around why people would be so hateful. It's not catty, it's cruel. Why you would do that, and certainly when you're pregnant or you have a newborn, we all, as moms, you know it's such a tender and sacred time. And I think, you know, you could either succumb to it or nearly succumb to how painful that is. And maybe in some regards, because I was pregnant, that mammalian instinct just kicked in. Do everything you can to protect your child, and as a result, protect yourself too. But, you know, I think as we look at what's happening in social media, there is so much work to be done in terms of keeping people safe. And that starts as we see what's happening with children and their exposure to things, but also just creating these habits that what I find the most disturbing, frankly, especially as a supporter of women, is how much of the hate is women completely spewing that to other women. And I cannot make sense of that because I understand that there are certain platforms. Look, today's a really good example. This is being streamed. This is being streamed on one of those platforms. And it's also fantastic because people are going to have access to hear all of this brilliance and all of this insight. And at the same time, it's a platform that has quite a bit of hate and rhetoric and incentivizes people to create pages where they can churn out very, very inciting comments and conspiracy theories that can have a tremendously negative effect on someone's mental health, their physical safety. So I think we have to really take a look at that when we're talking about how many women are in leadership positions, as you're saying in broadcast. There are a lot of women that are at the highest level, executive level, who are great champions of women, who are great philanthropists, and they are working in these spaces, and yet they're allowing this kind of behavior to run rampant. And at a certain point, they have got to put the do's behind the says and really make some changes on a systemic level. And then, you know, on the flip side of that, we have a responsibility in all of that. The systemic change has to happen at the same time as the cultural change is happening. Because if you're reading something terrible, terrible about a woman, why are you sharing it with your friends? Why are you choosing to put that out in the world? What if it was your friend or your mom or your daughter? You wouldn't do it. And I think that is the piece that is so lost right now in what's happening in the digital space and in certain sectors of the media. We have forgotten about our humanity. And that has got to change because I understand there's a bottom line and I understand that a lot of money is being made there. But even if it's making dollars, it doesn't make sense. And I think we all just have a responsibility there to weigh in. As moms, it is a really, especially as I was saying earlier, when you're a new mom, it is a really vulnerable time. And the effect that social media can have on new mothers, I mean, even just the lack of sleep because they spend all this time scrolling and scrolling, but it can also be really dizzying for them to see this portrayal of motherhood that looks so perfect when we all know it's not perfect. We all know that it's messy. I'm fortunate in that, you know, amongst the privileges that I have in my life, I have an incredible partner. My husband is such a hands-on dad and such a supporter of me and our family. And that I don't take for granted. That is a real blessing. But a lot of people don't have that same level of support. So I think for us, it's just trying to put the safeguards in so that women, and moms especially, cannot feel like they're even more vulnerable when they go online, that they can somehow feel like they are going to a
this constant attack of anything that reeks of progress, right? And I think women and women of color who are speaking up are often bear the big brunt of it. And so we need all institutions, we need people to listen, right? When you hear someone that is working under you, if you are a manager, if you're a president, if you're in any position of power, listen to those who are experiencing this and believe them and make changes and support them.
Amongst the privileges that I have in my life, I have an incredible partner. My husband is such a hands-on dad and such a supporter of me and our family.
Thank you so much. This is my only chance. Thank you, Meghan.
You're welcome.